Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to my second video on this channel. And today we are gonna learn about Caro-Kann that is played by the black, and it is also one of the most played opening by many players and even by the grandmasters. And please like and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want to give me some advice, please feel free to comment out on this video. So let's start to learn Caro-Kann. So yes, the Caro-Kann always starts with pawn to e4. If the white plays any other move like the knight out on f3 or even the pawn push from d2 to d4, it is gonna be called a different opening. So for the Caro-Kann to be played, we need e4 as a compulsory move. Okay. So in response to e4, the white needs to play uh, the pawn push from c7 to c6. This is the compulsory move for the opening to be called Caro-Kann. And let's say the white goes to pawn on d4, because I'm gonna talk some good logical moves by the white, because the opponent is gonna play the best move. So I'm gonna go with the flow, and as the black needs to complete the Caro-Kann, d5 is the final move. Okay, after these four moves, it is gonna be called Caro-Kann. Pawn to e4, and then the black responds with pawn to c6, and then he pushes the queen's pawn to d4, and then the white pushes d5. These four moves is gonna be called Caro-Kann. Yeah. So today I'm gonna also talk about some more moves, like at least 5 to 10 moves from this situation, so that you could have some idea how the Caro-Kann will be processed further. Okay. So from this situation, there are two types of people who are gonna take the pawn or who are gonna push the pawn. So in this video, in this variation, there is variation where the pawn is gonna be taken, but in this variation the white is gonna push the pawn. Okay, because it is a good logical move where the white will have more space and more area covered in the white's territory, black's territory, sorry. Okay. So so in this situation, as the knight could develop from by just only jumping, and if we just close the area, our bishop is gonna be useless and is gonna be inactive. So to make the bishop active, we are gonna develop the bishop first. So the most logical square is f5, which is gonna control the square besides the white's pawn. So okay. So so a good logical move from the white would be knight to f3, because in the future he can attack the white bishop. That could give some good trouble. Okay. So after this we close the area, so that our black bishop could be developed in the future, and even the knight. Okay. So after this, let's say white develops the bishop to e2, so that he could castle in the future. Okay. So by seeing this, black starts to attack on the queen side by playing pawn to c5. That would attack, and just separates the two pawn, and this is the main idea here. So after that white develops its black bishop to support the d4 pawn, even if it is taken. Okay. So after this move, as the bishop is already defending to c5, we are gonna develop the queen to b6, so that it could develop the pawn on c5. It could support the pawn on c5 as well as attack the pawn on b2. Okay. So in this situation, white is gonna play a tricky move here, that is knight to c3. Knight to c3. Why do you ask? because white because after bringing the knight out, he's gonna leave the b2 unprotected. b2 unprotected. The idea here is to let him take the pawn. Okay, let's say the black takes the pawn. The black takes the pawn, and which is just gonna show that the knight is defenseless. But he's gonna defend it with, but let's say he just attacks the queen, and then the queen takes the knight back, and after this move the queen is trapped. Queen is trapped. Queen is nearly trapped, even though he has one square, that is this. But after the rook is developed, the queen is trapped. Okay, so another move it can be. Like after the queen takes on b2, the knight can move forward, and the black can move it even more. And let's say the rook saves the knight, and let's say the best move for him is to take the pawn, and then boom, the rook is lost. Okay, so this is the trick here of bringing the knight out. Okay, so so in this situation, seeing the threat, we just put our we just develop our knight, so that we could have some more space, or even if the knight attacks on b5, we can defend it with the rook or any other pieces. Okay, so 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 after this, the white is gonna play a simple logical move, that is attack the queen. Okay, so in response from the black, it is the queen to a5, that would attack the king as well as attack the knight. Okay, so after this, the most logical move for the white is push the pawn, so that he can defend the knight as well as defend the king. Both are safe. Yeah. So in this situation, the black cannot take the white knight, as it is already defended. So it is the turn of now black. So what do you think is the most logical move for the black here? The most logical move is closing the bishop. That is protecting the area for the queen, like from escaping. So after the bishop is blocked, the queen is gonna be attacked by the black, like playing b4 from b2. Here, yes, you could go for impatient like this, but after the pawn is taken back, it is gonna put more pressure on the queen, and he needs to go back no matter what. Okay, so taking is not the good option here. So the best option for the queen is to go on d4, because yes, he needs to defend the square where the white bishop could be attacked. And then the best move for the white is to castle, because that keeps the king safe. And then yes, that keeps the king safe. So in response to the castle, the black is gonna play pawn to h6, which is gonna give some square for the white bishop, and white bishop from dying, because after the knight is played on h4, it has no square to go, so that acts as a backup square. Okay, and then from this situation, there are many options. He could play the knight out, not knight out, like this. We can go back, and many more. So from this move, the middle game starts. So I'm gonna stop here, and then talk about the another variation. And welcome to the second variation of Caro-Kann. And yes, as I have already told you, this is the same Caro-Kann opening, but with a different variation, different moves, different moves from different moves than the previous one. The Caro-Kann has to be the same for the first three move. Else it will be called a different opening. I'm go faster this time. Pawn to e4 and pawn to e4 and pawn to c6 as the response from the black. Pawn d4 and pawn d5, which is the which is which is which is the Caro-Kann. Okay, so in this variation, we are still gonna push the pawn to e5, and then the black takes the bishop out. White 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 in this variation, white goes to attack the pawn on queen side. Okay, this is gonna be a different variation where this time white attacks it. Okay, earlier we attack the queen side. Now the white attacks the king side. So we still close the area by playing pawn to e6 from e7. Okay, white then develops the knight here so that he could take it, like if he could in the future. Okay, and we bring the bishop out, which bishop out to b4. That would just keep the knight pinned, as well as it would be a perfect flow for the development, and then castle for the black. Okay, and then after this move, as the knight is pinned, the opponent tries to kick it with pawn to a3. So that is the most logical move played by the white, and every player, where the knight is pinned, we take the knight here, and then he takes back with the pawn, and then we develop the knight to e7, so that we could go for a castle. Okay, and then we also attack, and then after and then let's say white brings the knight out, so that he could also castle in the future. We stack, and then we attack on d4. Stopping pawn advance. We attack on d4, stopping the pawn advance here, so that he could not have any other, so that he does not have much space. And then if he takes from this square, he would have the triple stack pawn, which will not be good for him in the future. So yes, I'm gonna stop here for the second variation, because after this move there are many moves that could be played. So I'm gonna go directly to the third one. So onto the third variation. And yes, as I have already told you, the Caro-Kann start with the same move for the first three lines, and it is a special variation that is also called Panas attack. And so let's start this variation. So it first starts with e4, as I have already told you, and the black responds with c6, and the white also plays d4. The black plays back to d5, which completes the Caro-Kann. And yes, as I've already told you, this four line is must to make, or to be called, Caro-Kann. So in this variation, we are gonna go with pawn takes on d5, as we already did pawn push on the two variation previously. And so yes, we are gonna go with pawn takes on d5 this time. And then the black takes back, which will equal the material. And in this situation, the white is gonna attack on c4 by pushing the pawn from c2, and then black responds it with by defending it with the knight to f6 to defend the pawn. White again attacks the pawn on d5 by just developing the knight to c5. Black also develops the knight because it is still defended by the queen, because if the white takes, the black knight can take from f6, and if he takes back with the knight, the queen is gonna take. Okay, so and then at last, let's say the most logical move is he's not gonna attack right now on d5. He's gonna just develop the knight so that he could attack with attack, or he can go anywhere. Okay, and then we stop that knight by pinning it to the queen. We are gonna pin it to the queen. Okay, and then the knight cannot move, and even if it moves, the queen dies. Okay, so in this situation, before I can push the pawn, he's gonna take the pawn so that he could attack the knight, as well as he would have the better advantage. So the most logical move from the black is he takes back. Oh yeah. So right now he's not gonna directly take it at first, because if he takes and the black queen takes back, and the white queen, and then he would have taken the knight on f3. The queen takes back, and then the queen takes it again to f3, which is just gonna demolish his pawn structure. Okay, so right now he's gonna develop the queen to b3 so that he can attack the knight as well as attack on b7. So after this we are gonna take the knight on f3, because even if the queen takes, it can take back, and the bishop is gonna come back for support. And then the white takes with the pawn, and then we need to develop the knight. So the most logical move would be developing or pushing the pawn to e6. That would develop, and that would support the knight. Okay, and then as the pawn on b7 is undefended, the queen goes to take it. We need to also take the pawn, so we take the remaining pawn to d7, and d7 and d4, sorry, and then let's say the white develops the bishop. Okay, that would attack the queen, check, and then yes, take it back, and then the queen takes back to b5, check, and then the king would have to go up, and then he would take the knight back. He takes it, and we need to take it back, castle, and then in this situation we need to attack the queen. Let's say he goes back for check, come back, and then we can develop it, and then as it is already gone, and then as the white king does not have much square to develop upon or defend the king, we have a better advantage from this situation. Like we can develop the he can, let's say he develops the bishop, and then we can go for the double of rooks. Okay, and then he can even, rather than going for that, he can develop the bishop, takes back. Okay, and then there is nothing that can stop him. We can also go for the pawn push, and so on, and that is it for the third variation as well. Thank you for watching until the end. Please like and subscribe this stream, and please turn on that notification bell so that you could stay updated for much more video like this. Hope you would love this video, and even if there is something I could make it right, I would hope that you would tell me in that comment. Thank you for staying until then, and okay, see you again. Take care. Bye bye.